Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our second or third day for the Global Methane Forum. And this is the biogas session, the GMI Global Methane Forum Biogas Subcommittee technical session. We have a wonderful panel. We have a wonderful day today, and we're going to kickstart it off with the panel that's on Germany. And I'm going to hand it over to my esteemed colleague, Anja Schwitzer. So please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Monica. Welcome you all here to the morning session, and I'm very glad that you organized it starting from 10 o'clock. So I think that that really helps us all. So welcome to the panel on Germany. I'm going to be your moderator here, but I'm also presenting the part on waste. And here, my esteemed colleagues here directly at my side is the Ministry of Agriculture, Andreas Teuber. Then Mark is from the German Biogas Association. I'm going to do it the American way, only with the first names, and also Patrick from GIZ. So I will very soon now take you to the floor to Germany, and we start, of course, with the Ministry of Agriculture. Andreas, please enlighten us on what we do in the agriculture side in Germany.
Anja, thank you very much, and good morning to all. Indeed, I'm from the Ministry of Agriculture and Food in Germany, and I'm responsible for climate mitigation, adaptation, and water. So I will just explain in a few slides what is the policy of Germany on methane reduction in the agricultural sector. And not so much on biogas, as I will hand over then, but biogas, one part of this whole topic, is a little bit wider. So let's start. Next one. So this is the situation. You will not see, it's too small, about the emissions of greenhouse gases in Germany in the agricultural sector. So just look at the colors. The green color is livestock. The dark blue color is manure management, and the light blue color is nitrogenous oxygen emissions from soils. So you see the methane, the livestock, is the biggest part of greenhouse gas emissions in the agricultural sector in Germany. We have a second sector I will not talk about today. It's a so-called sector land use change and forestry. We also have some methane emissions that, especially in overflooded peatland, a different topic, and I only... Next one, please. So here we have the situation of methane emissions in Germany. Here you see really a strong decrease from 1990 to 2022. But if you can see, this dark green is again the livestock emissions, and they are quite constant. So now the biggest part of all methane emissions is coming from agriculture and especially from the livestock sector. So next one, please. So only some figures. I think I can jump. 63% of the methane emissions in Germany are from the livestock sector. So here are some more figures. Probably you can get the presentation, and then you have some exact figures. What is the situation in Germany? I will not compare to the rest of the world, because Germany is indeed quite different. We have a huge cattle farming sector, so we cover more than 100% of our consumption of milk and meat from our own production. Next one, please. So I will talk about our policy priorities, which probably will be a little bit different to what the world thinks about that. So our first and primary option is to reduce livestock production, livestock numbers in Germany. So since 2014, the number of cattle, especially ruminants, has been decreasing constantly, significantly. The reasons are not for the climate. The reasons are because the farms are getting bigger, smaller farms are giving up. So the number of farms is significantly reduced, and the number of cows per farm is increased. But the overall effect is indeed the reduction of livestock in Germany. So next one, please. And there is also introduced that the number of livestock per hectare is has been in some regions too high, so causing problems in nitrate in the groundwater and so on. So there are subsidies now focusing on reducing the livestock number in these areas of Germany, so that we have less animals also because of this reason, area restrictions for animal husbandry. Next one, please. So this goes along in Germany with a reducing of consumption of animal products in the German population. This is not a political priority, but it's just happening. So people in Germany are reducing their meat consumption every year. And for milk, for example, since the 70s, the consumption of milk has been reduced to 50%, not by governmental instructions. That was really a free decision. And this trend is going ahead. And that is indeed a little bit good, so that we can reduce the animal production in Germany without causing carbon leakage by importing products from other countries. We have still 110% of self-production, self-consumption of animal products, especially on pork, but also on cattle. And regarding the other products, of course, we have imports. Germany is a big importing country for agriculture, but on meat and milk, we are still exporters. So the next options or priorities is reducing also food losses in the whole chain of production. Then we have additional options. So this will lead to my colleague here, the fermentation of manure in biogas plants. We are supporting that by a subsidy program. So farmers get, for example, subsidies to reconstruct their old biogas facilities using silage to more manure. So this is happening very good in some eastern parts of Germany where we have large farms and they use manure because it's already economically viable. But for smaller farms, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. They don't have enough animals to fill a biogas digester, so there are cooperative systems, so farmers together have such a digester. And this is indeed something which is very relevant for us because it's methane reduction in the sector of agriculture, and we have climate goals to fulfill. And at the same time, it's producing renewable energy for other sectors. So the other points, I only have 5 minutes, is animal breeding. And the next one is animal health. Only a healthy animal produces products and causing emissions, of course. You cannot avoid that in agriculture. You will always have emissions in the livestock sector, but when you reduce the emissions, and then you have a remaining livestock sector, and then we have these instruments to reduce emissions in this sector. And I just say at the end, what we don't see as a priority is food additives and increasing or maximizing the output of production. We are already in a good level in Germany, so this is probably an option for some other countries, but in Germany we don't see this as an option. We prefer to focus and subsidize animal husbandry based on grassland, based on feedstock, which is not possible to eat for humans. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas, because that took us actually to the political framework of methane mitigation and biogas in Germany in terms of agriculture and food. And we continue now with myself, Anja Schwedje, German Environment Agency. And I'm going to take you quickly through the political setting of methane mitigation and waste sector build-up in Germany. So please, next slide. So this is actually our core experience, which I may show you. We in 1993 we decided to end the landfill of untreated municipal solid waste in 2005, which means all waste which is landfilled beyond 2005, and in between that political decision up to 2005, is kind of inert. It's not producing methane anymore. So what you see here is since we do that and we have gradually changed our waste industry towards changing the quality of waste landfilled, you can see a dramatic decrease in the emissions over 30 years in Germany. So we are now down to more than 90% reduction in the methane emissions from our landfills. And I emphasize that because we are here on the GMF forum, and very often I hear the word biogas used as a synonym for landfill gas. So Germany has a policy on actually curbing the emissions of landfill gas. But then again, you still have the material. So we are in favor of doing biogas. And how we do this will be explained also by my colleague from Fachverband Biogas soon. But I want to make that point really as a very, very important distinction in German policy. So here, what you see in the yellow line is the landfill gas capture, which Germany was about to achieve in highly engineered controlled landfills, which we have. And you can see that this didn't really help to curb the methane emissions from the landfills. The change of the quality of waste in the landfill body was the key issue which brought us down to that level. And that is the main policy, I'd like to say, which countries actually need to assume if they want to curb methane emissions from the waste sector. Why? Because the methane is formed in the landfill body by landfilling the biodegradable waste. If you don't feed it, it doesn't produce methane, and you can use actually the organic waste in a better way in terms of the waste hierarchy. So that's our core experience, and we came up to that experience because we closed our dump sites, the smaller ones, in the 70s, and also partially in the 80s, and built engineered landfills. And then we found that these are methane-producing machines, alongside with leachate, odor, sometimes even risk of fire, and also with the risk of a long-term legacy, meaning that if you close these landfills, they continue to produce methane. You have the different settlements of the landfill, so you constantly have to maintain the surface, not to have emissions, and it's hugely expensive, and it's a legacy for future generations. So that is why actually we took this decision to kind of do something in our generation and not kind of leave the problem for the next one. We do it by controllable parameters. That is a very specific German thing because we have to control. So it's mainly the total organic carbon of the waste landfill, which gives us control. So next slide, please. So you can see here, this is what we are reporting on in terms of waste sector in our national inventory report. The landfill emissions are going down. This is all methane from landfill. And then you see the yellow bar there. That comes from waste treatment. These are fugitive emissions. The very small yellow bar there. These are emissions which come from the biogas and composting and other treatment. Derives mainly by the process itself, but also by accidents, wrong handling. So there is room there also to improve. My colleague will tell you more about that. So, but in comparison to the landfill, and the bio-waste, the biological treatment is actually small. Next slide, please. So what do we do if we do that? We apply the waste hierarchy. What we don't want to do is direct landfill. We want to stop that, even if the landfills have landfill gas capture. So you can see the measures here. Prevention and reduction is core, especially on food waste. Next thing you might wonder why I have this preparation for reuse here. Yes, because wood and paper, for example, is also biodegradable. So there's also an option here to do something about it in the waste hierarchy. Then we would apply the recycling part, which only derives from separately collected material. And here comes the biogas part in from the waste. Just click. Next slide. But we have to bear in mind, no cycle is perfect. So there's always an amount of rejects, sorting residues, or also product which is not to standard, going back to the landfill. And because of that, please click again, we need always, and that is another part of the German industry, we have the circular economy part, but we also have a pre-treatment before landfill to make absolutely sure that this waste, which is landfill, doesn't produce methane anymore or leach it. And this is vital. Just click. Yeah, thank you. And we also do energy recovery at this step. So there's another biogas plant set, which is in the pre-treatment before landfill. Next click. Okay, so what we derive from the biogas, my colleague will tell you more. That is electricity, heat, and fuel, mainly. Click. Here you see the development for the recycling part. So for the separately collected material, household as well as commercial, that is the development in Germany. And you see that we are emphasizing on biogas. So the blue bar, which is composting, is fairly constant, whereas the biogas part is progressing. The gray area, the other treatments, is mainly sludge treatment from sewage sludge. Next slide, please. So this was the recycling part where you saw it's absolutely important to do circular economy approaches here. Yeah. But then the truth is also for Germany, after 30 years where we decreased our emissions in landfill, and it takes a long time, and 30 years of separate collection, there is still organic waste in the residual waste. We are all human. We are never perfect. Yeah. And you see the change here from 85 to 2018. And that's the content of our residual bin. And the brown bar is the organic waste. And it's, yeah, it's still big. Yeah. So that is our experience, is pre-treatment is always necessary. So here, that's the summary slide, which gives our approach to the topic. Ban the landfill of untreated waste or biodegradable waste. You gain so much benefits with it. Yeah. And the benefits here are, you can see them on the right side. And apply the waste hierarchy when you design the measures. Yeah, that is important. So start with prevention, separately collection, and recycling. But don't forget that in the end, there's still something which you need to treat. And this is usually the part where also financial constraints come in. Yeah, but we have to pay attention to that. So next, yeah. So thank you for your attention. And that was a very, very quick excursion to what we do in Germany in the waste sector. So from here, I take my role as moderator again. So now, Mark, please tell us, because you're the association which we also rely on in a certain way, also from the German Environment Agency, to give us, for example, figures or latest technology. Please enlighten us what you do.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, or well, good morning, good day, wherever you're watching us today, as this is a hybrid meeting. Thanks, Anja from German Environmental Agency for this invitation. First time in GMI. Thanks to GMI also to showcase a bit the German perspective on biogas. My name is Mark Reinhardt. I'm from the German Biogas Association, and I work in the international department of GBA. And next, please. So what's on the menu today? Well, it's a menu, but I still have to say it's so much that it's, or I can just give you an appetizer. So for the menu, I recommend to go into our brochures, our knowledge base that we have. So just a teaser for today. So I will talk about the German Biogas Association, then a bit about the German biogas development, German biogas technology, some examples, and of course our international activities and corporations. Next, please. So the German Biogas Association is a member association. It's a non-for-profit association, member-based. We have 4,700 members, so quite a lot. Most of them are operators of biogas plants. That's our basis. But we have also a lot of companies, so tech providers and even feedstock providers, even lawyers, as it's so broad, this field of renewable energy and biogas. And also research institutions, which is also very important. I will come to that later on. Well, our main objective is to promote biogas, of course, in Germany, but also as Europe is very important, also on a European basis. I'm happy to see Harmen Decker from European Biogas Association today here as well. And of course, as we have an international department and we have a lot of companies going abroad now, also globally, it's important for us to promote biogas. So very happy to be here today. How we do it? Promotion, of course, legal framework is definitely very important for us. So good framework conditions. We do this through political advocacy, of course, as an association. Then also technical standards. It was mentioned already that there is methane leakage also in biogas plants in the process. And therefore, it's very important to have very well-knowledged operators. And we always guarantee or try to guarantee that our operators are on the last level regarding the biogas process. So training, capacity building is key on that sense, and also technical standards in order to use the latest technology. So that's in terms of the operation. A lot of exchange of information, of course, with our members, but also to the public. Anja was mentioning awareness raising. Also, we have 30 years of separate collection still. There's a lot of impurities, a lot of so yeah, this is an ongoing process, and it's really key to have high quality input material, which is our key, the feedstock in terms of waste, high quality feedstock input material. And of course, political advocacy. So now coming to some statistics, development of the German biogas sector. You will see this graph. It's from 1992, but that's because the German Biogas Association was founded in 1992, so over 30 years. Of course, biogas development in Germany and in Europe is much older, decades of experience. But basically, from 1992, the ecosystem, biogas as an ecosystem field that we need to organize. And that's why this graph is from 1992. And then you can see just the blue columns, you see the number of biogas plants. And now you can see in the forecast, it's not just a forecast, it's we have about 10,000 biogas plants in Germany today. But of course, it started with 139 plants in 1992. So you can imagine there's a huge development of biogas in Germany. And the red line, you can see that we have about 6 gigawatt of installed electric capacity, which is also considerable. This is due to the development since you can see it from 2000 onwards, let's say from 2000 to 2014 was the really biogas boom. And that's due to our framework condition. It's the German energy transition, renewable energy transition, which is our Renewable Energy Act. And that means that renewable energy and also biogas gets a feed-in tariff, so a fixed tariff for a biogas electricity production. It's subsidized, and therefore the development was really, really, really fast. It was really the biogas booster. And it is the biogas booster also today is a bit different because it's a system that is constantly adopting in accordance to the technology, of course, a lot of innovation, optimization. Mr. Teuber was mentioning also feedstock. So we're focusing more on waste, on residues. During the first times of biogas, it was a lot of energy crops due to also historic agro reasons, and then now it's changing. So it's the nice thing about this Renewable Energy Act, it's adoptable. So you can steer really the development, how you want to develop the technology. So that was why biogas was very strongly developing in Germany. Yeah, next, please. Another statistic. Here I will focus. Well, basically, you saw biogas plants, but that means also biomethane, of course. You can see there are about 250 biomethane plants in Germany in these 10,000 biogas plants. And then we're talking about methane reduction, we're talking about CO2 equivalent reduction. So just in Germany, we have 21.2 million tons of CO2 equivalents reduced through biogas, which is quite considerable. And also not just the environment, but also the economic turnover for Germany is 13. So it's also a strong economic driver. And the nice thing is, as biogas is mostly decentralized, it's also a rural development. So it's a rural jobs generated. And talking about jobs, there are about 52,000 jobs generated through biogas, which is also important, as this is really a rural decentralized development. And next, please. So coming to Europe, thanks to European Biogas Association, we took this graph. You can see that also Europe is, of course, developing very fast on biogas. We have about 20,000 biogas plants in Europe, and also biomethane. You can see about more than 1,000 plants of biomethane. And when we talk about biomethane, I will come to this. It's basically separating from the pure biogas the CO2. And then you can also, of course, use this CO2, and then you have basically biological natural gas. So that's what is all about biomethane. Next, please. So now coming to the process, looking at our happy cows and the biogas plant. Next, please. So another time, thanks to Eva, it's a very nice graph that shows why we should use biogas. And because here we talk about basically two topics in this biogas technical session, which is agriculture and waste treatment. So anaerobic digestion, so biogas production, has a big opportunity for low cost and decentralized waste management on the one side, and also it creates valuable products, which is of course energy. In our case, it's a lot of electricity production, heat production, because Germany needs a lot of heat as well. Can be even cold with combined heat and power plants. And with biomethane, it's also sustainable transport fuel. So we have another important product. But it's on the one side, it's energy, but it's not just energy. Biogas is much more than energy. It's also the material use. We were mentioning the digest state, which is the leftover after the digestion process. And this is a high valuable organic fertilizer. So we have another important co-product. And here on the slide, you can see, of course, agriculture is a big producer of methane, mainly through manure of livestock. So we can reduce a lot of methane emissions on this side. Of course, also residues in agricultural sector can be used. And even when we talk about energy crops, there is also sequential cropping. So you have so much on the energy crops, which is, of course, we use a lot of maize silage still because it's a really biogas booster. It's a really amazing plant. Yet you can use a lot of plants that are also energy plants, but are much more sustainable, also even biodiversity generating plants. So that's also possible, but let's focus here more on the waste because that's the more the topic on this session. And then, of course, you see all the utilization pathways. So we go to the digester, which is the heart of our biogas plant. Oh, yeah, just a second. So the digester is the heart, and then we develop the biogas. We can use it, of course, in a CHP, combined heat and power plant, so use electricity and the heat. We inject it in Germany to the grid. That's due to our Renewable Energy Act. And basically, the nice thing about this and why the biogas is really developed in Germany or developed that good is because we have 20 years of investment security, 20 years of guaranteed for this feed-in tariff. So that was really important because investment security and is and was important for the lots of them farmers that are developing the biogas project. So they need really this investment security. And then, of course, heat use. You see there is a house. That means also villages. I will later talk about the bioenergy villages, which is also a very nice thing to use not only the electricity, but also the heat which is really needed in Germany. And then with biomethane, of course, we have the possibility to have a sustainable transport fuel, and that we can use especially in heavy-duty transport. Of course, electrification of transport is key, but there's some kind of transport which is hard to electrify, heavy-duty, long-haul vehicles, and biomethane is perfect either as CNG but also as bio-LNG, so liquefied, to use it in this sector. So we have now sector coupling, a totally new sector for biogas through biomethane, which is really great, good future for biogas. Yes, coming to the waste technology, because you can see there's on the graph that there's a lot of input material. We were talking already about some of them. But then you need, of course, the feedstock storage. You have a feedstock preparation. Normally, if it's talking about waste, we have an enclosed building, which is important because there's order, and we were talking about also the general public, the awareness and the acceptance. So it's very important that, especially when we talk about waste management in a city, that if there's a biogas plant, and there are biogas plants in proximities to city and to population, that it is an enclosed building where the waste material is preparated in order not to generate odor, for example. And then, of course, it's preparated. That means, Anja was mentioning, still also we have source separation. There's still a lot of impurities in it. So there's a lot of technologies, I will show in a minute, to separate the not wanted material from the organic material, and then go to the biogas plant, which is the hard, different type of digesters. And then we have, of course, our digestate, and also, again, it's important. The digestate is still organic material, and it has to be stored also. It has to be closed. And then we can use this digestate. We can separate the liquid, the solid fraction, and we can, of course, also upgrade the digestate, which is very important and interesting when we want to have nutrient recovery, which is key in the digestate, so organic fertilizer management. So feedstocks, I just briefly go through it. Of course, there are energy crops, but for us in this session, more important are animal byproducts. Of course, it was mentioned, manure is still a lot of potential. Even so, in Germany, we have so much biogas plants. Still, it's challenging to get manure to the anaerobic digestion. So there's still potential. And I'm sure globally, manure is a huge potential for biogas. And the nice thing, it's basically free. Free. It's not like energy crops that you have to buy but you have the feedstock. Just a second. Can you go back to the feedstocks? And then, of course, vegetable byproducts, which are on the field, basically. We have industrial commercial waste. That's also a huge potential. And the nice thing about those wastes, it's very clean waste stream, so we can use it almost directly, and we know what we get. It's easy to calculate for a biogas project. But also organic fraction of municipal solid waste, hopefully source separate. That's also what we always, when we promote biogas and waste treatment, separate collection is what we really need to have a high quality input material. But it's also possible to have mixed waste. There's also technologies and treatment possible for mixed waste and to separate the organics out. Thank you. Next, please. Yes, feedstock quality is key. So we need for feedstock quality for on the one hand, we want to have a very efficient process to get the most biogas out of our feedstock. So therefore, input material has to be really clean and high quality. Also, because we have impurities, that means in our biogas process, we have a lot of technical components like stirrers, agitators, we have pumps. So everything what is not pumpable, impurities, plastic, sand, metals can be inhibit in the process. So that's not what we want, also economically speaking, not just environmentally speaking. So that's why really treatment, hopefully separate source separation, and if not, then a very good pre-treatment is necessary. Also for public awareness and public acceptance, because at the end, I mentioned we have the digestate, and if there is, for example, microplastics in the digestate, and that goes back to the fields, of course, it's not what we want. So it's really important to have a good input material. Basically feedstock preparation. It's just a teaser. You can look it up. We have a very interesting brochures just on bio-waste, one just on fertilizer, organic fertilizer, so digestate, and one of biomethane as well. So that's the one for bio-waste, where you can see how does different technologies for feedstock preparation work. So if in the case you have, if it's separate, but also if it's mixed waste, you have to have, for example, disintegration technologies. So you have a lot of, let's say, packed food stuff, organic food stuff packed from the supermarket. There's plastic. You have to remove the plastic. Therefore, you need technologies. There's a whole bunch of technologies available. So that's not a problem, technology speaking. But of course, you have to figure out what kind of waste streams do you have, and what kind of technology is best for your biogas plant. Also, sanitation, hygienization is important, especially when we talk about waste streams. And then dry removal, and you have liquid removal depending on the type of waste. Then we have several digester technologies also. We saw in the picture in the agricultural is most continuously steered tank reactor, CSTR technology, but for waste streams, for example, organic waste streams from municipal solid waste, we have also this plug flow through digesters, which are horizontal digesters, a bit robust, more for material with a higher dry matter content, I would say. So that's also important. So a lot of technologies from the digester side, and here's the digestate upgrading mentioned. So digestate upgrading, it means you have to digestate, you separate the liquid and the solid fraction. Of course, you can bring it out to the fields as it was done before, and it's always better to digest it before bringing it to the fields, because if you spread it to the fields without digesting it, of course, there's not methane emissions, but even other emissions, which are greenhouse gases, much more nocive to the climate change. And so you have different treatment technologies. It's all available. Yeah, you can look it up, of course, in our brochure. So we have a lot of companies specialized just on digestate treatment. I think that's also the future, to have this nutrients really separate, and you can also sell it. So you have a new revenue stream for your biogas project. Next, please. And now coming to some examples, talking a lot about the technologies. For example, the city of Berlin, and I mentioned it, huge biogas plant which treats the waste from the citizens. It's the city service from Berlin, the waste service. So everything started that the citizens, they have this brown bin that Anja was mentioning. So they separate the organic fraction. It goes with the waste trucks to the treatment plant, which is a anaerobic digestion treatment plant. It's a plug flow through digester in Berlin. There the biogas is produced. It's even upgraded to biomethane, and this biomethane is used, and that's why it's really a nice example for the waste trucks that are collecting the waste. So it's really nice circular economy example in that sense. That's on the energy side. Just 1 second. There's just one circle missing, and of course we have also the digestate, or the leftover after this process, which is they use also some composting after the digestion process, and then they deliver it to different garden centers and companies that are using it to put it back to the fields and to grow our food, basically. Here's some images of the plant and the trucks fueled with biomethane. Next, please. So that's one big city example, and waste streams from organic fraction of municipal solid waste. But of course, we have a lot of agricultural plants. Those are in rural areas, and there we have small villages, and therefore we have also this bioenergy villages, which is a really interesting example also to have biogas plants and use the energy also locally, regionally. So there's the name Bioenergy Village, which basically is also a renewable energy village, because normally they have bioenergy, they use biomass, they use biogas, but they can also use different other renewable energies. Since 2005, more or less, we have bioenergy villages. We have about 200 of them already, so it's really success. And the nice thing, it's a local heating network which is really needed in Germany. So we have connected about 25,000 households with heating and hot water. And the other nice thing, next please, that the citizens are really involved in the project, also talking about acceptance. So they are really part of the biogas plant and not just part of the investment, or as they are part of the economic interest, but they also receive the gas for the heating. So they have a really interest in being connected with renewable energy, because last year's told us that thanks for the red card, Anja. I will be brief. Showed us that really we have had a gas shortage. We had really high gas prices, so the people are really happy to receive renewable and locally produced biogas, and basically even the majors are very happy, because now people are going to the rural side, moving not to the cities but to the rural areas where they have a bioenergy village to receive sustainable and economic energy. And coming to almost the last slide is our international activities. As I mentioned, we have a lot of companies that are doing a lot of their business abroad already. So basically, globally, of course, Europe is very important, the European markets, but also emerging and developing countries. And that's why we have 6 staff members just working on the international projects. And we do that, we support members with market information, of course. We do international projects. I will come to one in a second. Consultancy, a lot of training, capacity building, and also chamber and association partnerships. And here is a very nice chamber and association partnership with the Indian Biogas Association, founded by the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. So when I talk about project, of course, it's projects to foster biogas promotion and development in the countries. It's not a commercial project, as we are not for-profit association. We just foster biogas development with important partners. For example, IBA, Indian Biogas Association, a very strong partner. And the idea was to foster also the organizational development of an association, as we have a lot of experience with that. And the Indian one was developing quite fast and needed to be more competent, to have more services for their members, because member associations have really a big advantage to boost biogas, also in terms of framework conditions, advocacy. But therefore, you need a lot of staff. You need a lot of members. So you need member services. So that's what we did with the Indian Biogas Association. We can elaborate on that also bilaterally. Happy to do so. And last but not least, I was asked also to present very briefly in a slide research organization. In Germany, we have so many organizations working on the topic biomass, biogas. On the research side, we are cooperating also with the German Biomass Research Center, DBFZ, and that's basically it's linked to the Agricultural Ministry, or belongs to the Agricultural Ministry, and does independent research. Has a lot of research biogas plants, laboratories. That's also very important to have this research side. We were talking these days a lot about data, also data to foster, to promote, in this case, biogas development. And with that, I conclude. We have, as I said, a lot of material elaborated in a lot of languages as well. So we're happy to exchange with you bilaterally. And of course, we have a lot of material. So thank you a lot for your attention, and thanks for patience as I'm speaking to me here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I mean, Andreas and me, we are both from government agencies, so we can set the framework. You see also other ministries set the framework for the biogas development. But then you also need the people on the ground and the associations which sum up their experience. And I think that's a nice example. And from now, it shows that also our association do international work, but of course our main actor in the field is GIZ. So Patrick, please go ahead.
Okay, a very warm good morning as well from my side. Patrick Büker, working for the GIZ at the headquarters in Germany. I was asked to give you a short overview of what the GIZ is doing in terms of methane mitigation in the waste sector, mainly focusing on biogas. I should start by saying that the German government is committed to sustainable development and really looking into the three pillars of environmental, climatic development, social development, and as well economic development. And we as GIZ, we are entirely externally funded. We are not part of the government. We are a limited company, so we apply as well for funds, but we are mainly 80% of what we do is funded by the German government. Other stuff is funded by the European Union, for example. So when the topic of methane came up, actually, within the kind of wider policy framework, the German government as well decided, okay, we have to look into this specifically because, as you probably know, Germany has become what is called a global methane pledge champion. So that was decided in September last year, and with that role, there is as well a commitment to actually support methane mitigation in the agriculture, in the waste, and the fossil fuel sector in developing countries and emerging economies. And there the GIZ comes into the equation. So what we did when we were approached by the government, we had a first look at our portfolio. And because we didn't have so far projects that specifically focus on methane, but we found out by looking into our portfolio, basically the last 5 to 6 years, that there are a lot of projects that actually focus at least partly on methane. So we're talking about 39 projects in the waste sector and 10 projects in the agriculture sector. We did as well, because that was what the German government asked for, we did an analysis in terms of how methane mitigation is and how large methane emissions are in our key partner countries. And this is the first slide you can see here. This is the amount of methane emissions as part of the total GHG emissions separated in different regions, different global regions, and including some of our main partner countries. So on the right-hand side, if you just go back just 1 second, please, on the right-hand side, you can see African countries, East African countries. You see as well the Northern African countries, more or less in the middle, and as well Central Asia. And you can see that for a lot of these countries, methane emissions actually contribute for up to 50% of their greenhouse gases. Next slide, please. And we did as well a separation into different sectors. So here you can see methane emissions for different countries we work with, separated into fossil fuel, agriculture, and landfill waste water, and that is the kind of red part. And you can see again that there are some countries, especially in Latin America and Asia, that have a very high proportion of methane emissions from the waste sector. Next slide, please. And you've all seen these satellite-based images that have been published over the last 2 years. They have put a lot of pressure on some of our partner countries, and they have again, I guess, let's say, stressed the importance of methane emissions as well in the waste sector, so which are the yellow dots here, and especially as well in Asia, where we have a lot of our projects running at the moment. So with that, it's basically a confirmation of where the problem lies, really, in terms of waste or methane emissions from waste. And like I said before, we did a portfolio analysis, and I would like to just give you a very quick overview of some of the projects about waste. They include different things, different aspects of methane mitigation, and waste management, including as well waste limitation or avoidance, waste separation, composting, but as well biogas. And as you can see, for example, if I pick out two of the projects here on the top left corner, this is a project that was carried out till 2021, funded partly by Germany, by the CCAC and US EPA. And that was focusing really on the extension of sewer networks in Ecuador and Mexico. And I would like to as well stress or pick out here the maybe the African biodigester component, which is the second from the right on the top row, African biodigester component, which is still ongoing at the moment. So that is very much focusing on biogas, biomethane production, and as well the one below that from Indonesia, that's about the economic mitigation potentials through renewables, including as well bioenergy. And I was asked, when we asked the different projects, so why are your partners interested really in waste management and in biogas specifically? We've heard all the time the same argument. So it provides business opportunities. It avoids greenhouse gas emissions, especially methane. It substitutes fossil energy and as well mineral fertilizers. So we have a good nutrient recycling. We have avoidance of waste on dump sites. That is a large problem in a lot of our partner countries where landfills are just full, basically, and like I said before, it creates as well employment. So there's a very, very good co-benefit of these projects by really providing kind of economic, environmental, and social benefits as well. And I would like to, if you go to the next slide, please. I would like to show you this. This is a biogas. Sorry, just a second. Okay, it's an overview of current biogas projects. One is based in Eastern Africa, in Kenya, and one in Indonesia. And I would like to show you two short videos. So this one is more like an impact video from Kenya. So if you could please start this one.
Maybe a short announcement, as we are short of time. So you're all invited to network with us in the break after the next session. We will now play the videos and then go to the next session. Okay, thank you.
Naitwa Peris Wanjiku, nimetoka Murang'a County, huku kwetu kunaitwa Kiangatia, na hawa ndio ng'ombe wangu wenye wananipatia biogas. Na ni watatu. Grupu yetu inaitwa Kiangatia Dairy Farmers na ni mimi sekretari wao. Niko na biogas ya 8 cubic meters. Na kabla nijegewe.
Maybe we can move out of here so that people can see the under.
Huku kwetu tunaenda kule mlimani juu kutafuta kuni. Na tukienda huko kutafuta kuni, kuna maaskari wanatukimbiza. Miguu ndio hiyo inaweza kujikia huko. Nilikuwa naharibu wakati mwingi sana wakati naenda kutafuta kuni. Moshi nayo, moshi ilikuwa inasumbua. Kwa sababu unapika tu na jiko moja, lakini sasa nikaona afadhali nijegewe hii biogas kwa sababu niko na ng'ombe na manufaa yenye nimepata kutoka niwekewe biogas. Sasa kupika ni rahisi. Sasa niko na kabili, kama sasa niko na wageni napika chai hapa na ninataka kuwapikia mpaka kaugali. Sasa mambo yangu inakuwa ninapika haraka. Hakuna ya kungoja, hakuna moshi. Na faida nyingine ya kuwa na biogas ni ile bioceramic. Kama last season mahindi yangu ilikuwa mzuri sana, hatukununua fertilizer venye tunanunuanga. Sasa pesa ya fertilizer tumesave, na mimea inakuwa mzuri, unapata mapato mingi kulipo wakati ule mwingine unatumia fertilizer, na hakuna haja ya kununua fertilizer sasa, kwa sababu hii ukiweka na uweki mingi ni kidogo kwa mmea, na mmea inaendelea na inakomaa. Nikiweka bioceramic, ile pesa nilikuwa natumia kwa kununua fertilizer na itumia kwa kitu kingine. Baki ya fertilizer kwa sahihi 3500. Sasa hiyo pesa natumia kwa kulea watoto na kufanyia kazi nyingine ya nyumbani.
Kwa hivyo Felix, unaweza ukawahimiza nini wale watu ambao hawana mtambo wa biogas?
Mimi naweza waambia biogas ni mzuri kwa sababu haina kazi mingi ya kuilani, bora tu unakuwa na cow dung, na sio ati inachukua masaa mingi. Unaenda asubuhi, unafagia, unaweka kama ndoo moja mbili, uko na biogas ya kupika kwa shamba, uko na bioselali, na haihitaji ati mtu akuwe na pesa mingi, kwa sababu ukiingia kwa group kuna kampuni zinaweza saidia wewe kama Sakaki, na unaenda kwa malipo ya polepole, na bora tu ukiwa uko kwa group, kwa sababu huwezi ukasaidiwa ukiwa peke yako, kwa sababu ukiwa peke yako labda mambo inaweza kuwa gumu, lakini ukiwa kwa group mnaweza ita watu wa kampuni kama Sakaki waje wamsaidie na mambo itakuwa sawa, na inaweza hata fanya kwa kukata majani na chapati. Kwa hivyo baba ni mzuri.
Thanks a lot. I think this is really showing, how this works on a small scale. Sorry. Yeah. I think this shows how it works really on the small scale as well. So we have, I think, some good examples there. If you can bear with me, and then maybe we can show you a second video, which is on a different scale from Indonesia. Could you maybe?
No, really, you're all invited to network with us during the break. You see, Germany has a lot to tell. So, sorry for that. We would just play the video. We would here now, before the video, just conclude this session and leave the panel. So thank you very much for your patience and interest. And thank you all the esteemed panelists here.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
And yes, so you will see the second video now, and actually it should take you also to the scene of that biogas doesn't have only that one aspect. It has really multifold, also cultural aspects, and that is an interesting part about it. And that is why we thought that these videos could be interesting as well. Thank you, and until the break.
Thank you so much. And if the second panel can just come up to the side while the video is playing. Thank you.
Potential of bioenergy. More than 15 gigawatt of potential energy can be generated only by utilizing industrial waste from palm oil, sugarcane, pulp and paper, tapioca, rice, wood, and livestock. If not utilized, this large sum of energy potential will not only be wasted, but also create harmful impact by releasing methane and other greenhouse gas emission that equals to 170 million ton of CO2 into our atmosphere. This emission contributes to 15% of the total sum of greenhouse gas emission and 19% of methane emission in Indonesia. GIZ and the Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources has been working together in optimizing methane mitigation effort in Indonesia's agroindustry sector through the framework of Explore project. Renewable energy development is oftentimes curbed by limited information, knowledge and experience in system adjustments or in implementing new technology. Explore, or the strategic exploration of economic mitigation potentials through renewables project, bridges this gap through studies and assessments, intensive discussions, drafting of guidelines and strategic documents to encourage the development of renewable energy which further reduce potential methane emissions. Explore believes in the vital role of policy and regulations in creating enabling environment for renewable energy. We support Indonesian government to formulate and implement supportive arrangements for innovative renewable energy implementation. Explore delivers practical examples, develops strategic tools, and facilitates capacity development to better equip the decision makers in creating favorable climate for renewable energy utilization. Explore promotes feasible adaptation and implementation of technical and economic approaches through innovative studies and pilot projects which underline substantial emission reduction potential. Since 2019, Explore has facilitated various activities involving study, knowledge transfer, capacity development, and business matchmaking between key stakeholders from energy, climate policies, development planning, and financial sectors. Explore supports a more coherent environment between key players to contribute to Indonesia's climate goals. By this year, Explore Activities has contributed to reduce and avoid at least 6 million ton of CO2 equivalent emission. By the end of the project in 2025, Explore will contribute to reducing emission to a projected additional number of 1 million ton of CO2 equivalent. However, even the sum of those numbers is very little compared to the gigantic total volume of Indonesia's methane emission potential. To amplify the mitigation effort, agro-industrial waste utilization can play the savior role. More methane emission mitigated, more clean energy generated. The call is clear. More of our action is needed.
Thank you so much. Let's give a warm thank you, applause to the German panel. Thank you so much, and Anya for moderating.